Previously on AFTN.
I don't know why they start so late in February. I don't know if it's because they're waiting for all the January European window to close, so then maybe they get some more bargains or something like that.
Possibly.
I don't know if that's the reason why, but it's kind of stupid that they have it.
It's just a shame now that Steve's going to get fined for that comment.
It's Mickey Mouse, man.
$10,000 that's cost you, Steve. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show. Broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I am Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Broken Zipper Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Meisenheimer.
Yes, there was a little bit of a mishap just before we came on air.
A zipper mishap.
Yes. We didn't need to see it.
No.
But it happened.
It's an early Christmas gift.
Yes.
Steve was trying to show off his very beautiful, very wonderful, very colorful.
No, we don't want to make this explicit.
Don't need to mark this.
I'm talking about your Marvel t-shirt.
Oh, okay. I just thought...
He's trying to show you, Michael, his beautiful
Let
Marvel
the listeners
shirt.
at home just picture
No.
what came out when Steve's zipper broke.
It's a Marvel comic shirt. It's beautiful.
Anyway, talking of cock-a-hoop, I've been cock-a-hoop this week because the 2020 World Darts Championship kicked off on Friday, so that's basically me till January 1st, really. Watching 2 sessions a day. I can talk about kissing the lipstick, 3 in a bed, hitting the red spot, and just it's normal talk at this time of year. Well, at least for people of a darting persuasion. You a big tungsten fan, Zach?
Sorry, what now?
Tungsten.
Who?
What they make the darts from.
Yeah.
Tungsten.
Oh. Yeah.
You'll be watching it on DAZN?
I will most likely not be watching.
But this is the AFTN darting show.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you tell me when something's on that I should watch, maybe I'll check it out.
Gary Anderson, Monday night, you have to watch that.
This Monday night?
Yeah.
What time?
Flying Scotsman. He'll probably be on last, so we're maybe looking at 1:30, 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Okay, how about you text Steve and I and let us know?
I will.
Okay.
I'll do that. I'll tweet it out as well. It's going to be a busy Monday.
Is he that big dude?
No. That doesn't narrow it down, but no. Likewise, if he said, is he the bald dude? I'd be like, no, that doesn't narrow it down either.
Is he the snake guy?
No, that's the other Scottish guy.
Darts is fun.
It is.
We were
playing it in our Christmas special next week.
We were at
Spithel, I don't know what that is.
We were at Pacific Away, and we stopped at a pub to watch an MLS game after, and just lots of fun just playing darts.
Soft tip.
Yeah, you're speaking a language that I'm not anywhere near fluent in.
Because they play a lot of soft tip over here, which isn't like the metal pointy.
Oh no,
darts.
this is metal.
Proper. Okay. Yeah, that's
no. Who would play with a soft tip?
A lot of people here and a lot of people in Asia, they play with that, and then when they come to play in the Worlds, they struggle because it's a
different dynamic,
game. Yeah,
different weight or different feel.
Anyway, this isn't sadly the AFTN darting show, but it's been a quiet news week, so let's just keep talking about the darts. Did you see the women's world champion today?
No, what happened?
Oh, she was playing in the men's, and
that's allowed?
Down, yeah, it went down. Just started last year. It went down to deciding leg, and she lost. She nearly made history.
Oh,
yeah. Anyway, let's get back to some soccer chat, because it has been a quiet week. It's been another week where there has been no additions to the Whitecap squad. No news is good news, right?
Not in this case.
Not in this case, yeah.
No.
Well, we know that there's going to be a big announcement on Monday. Fantastic when our show is on a Sunday. But
well, that just means we have like a whole week to really just figure out how we feel about it.
We can speculate about what the announcement's going to be
the
about.
thing is, there's not really much speculation.
It is, because we could be thrown for a loop. I don't know if you saw, I tweeted out a video that someone had put up of a deer scoring a goal.
Oh, yeah.
That could be our new DP signing.
Like, it wouldn't be surprising with the Whitecaps.
Well, it would be, because I think he's too dear. But it could be that. I think we do know who might be getting announced on Monday. There's a big clue, a big metal clue outside BC Place right now.
Yeah.
There's a giant armoured vehicle, hashtag not a tank, for Lucas Cavallini, whose nickname, of course, is The Tank. And I think we'll cover that in part 2.
Oh, so we're not going to just spew about it right now?
Keep the listeners waiting for that. So, not tons to talk about in Whitecaps land, but there has been a lot to talk about in the world of North American soccer. So for these first 2 parts, it's a chance for us to do another That Was the Week That Was.
That was the week that was. It's over, let it go. That was the week that was. It started way above par, finished way below. That was the week that was.
That was the week that was. I was watching a TV show during the week where they were talking about how the week started on Monday, and I thought, maybe just put that little soundbite into the show for Zach, but I thought, let's just keep things flowing, let's not go down.
Well,
there. So let's start our week that was with Monday. Now, the draw was made for the round of 16 matches in the 2020 CONCACAF Champions League. Vancouver Whitecaps, sadly missing from that draw. But Canada's representatives, the Montreal Impact, have a tough opener against Costa Rican champs Saprissa.
Vamos Saprissa.
Let's hope so.
Papi's old club.
The 4 US MLS teams have some interesting ties and some interesting potential quarter-final matchups as well. MLS Cup winner Seattle face Honduran side Olympia. Another Honduran side, Motagua, I never know how to pronounce those. They await Atlanta United. Supporters Shield winners LAFC. They have the tie that I think everyone wanted to avoid, which was the only Mexican team that was going to be that they could face, which was Club Leon. NYCFC face another Costa Rican side, San Carlos. Now the first legs are February 18th to the 20th. So early in the season, we talked last week that all the teams involved in that are going to get to start pre-season training a week early. So from January the 11th. Now if Montreal and Seattle both win, possible, they will face each other in the quarterfinals. So that could be a tasty little tie. I might even go down to the Seattle leg if that happens. Might go down anyway just to celebrate with my friends in the Seattle locker room again and see if there's any more pizza going and if I can speak to someone else eating a donut. That could be our new section that we do in 2020. It's a new decade. Chocolate digestives are on the way out. Eating jam donuts are on the way in. Of course, I jest. Chocolate digestives will never be on the way out. They've been on the go since the late 1800s by McVitie's. It originally started as an actual digestive tool. It was believed if you ate the digestive biscuit, it would help your digestive system. Funnily enough, if you do eat a whole packet of digestives, it kind of bungs you up a little bit. But that's a whole other thing. Back to the CCL. I kind of fancy Seattle, actually, to have a little bit of run.
Of course you do. They're all your chums.
You want to celebrate with them in the dressing room.
My good buddy, Garth Lagerway, he said that they're going to go for it this year. They're going to go and try and make history and try and be the first MLS club to win it. And to do that, he says, if that means they have to play the kids in the opening MLS matches, then so be it.
Yeah, because they've proved that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter for them.
Have they done anything to really bolster their side?
They've not added Freddie Montero yet, if that's what you mean. Maybe still to come. But I do think they've got a good chance. They've got quite a favourable draw And
they're on the weaker side. Yeah.
And
you said that it's Olympia they have first, right?
yes.
Yeah. That's a lion symbol, right? Remember they played here at Olympia. Remember? Yeah. There's a lot of tifo you can do with a lion.
Tuesday. After a poor season that saw them miss out in the playoffs for the first time since 2010, Sporting Kansas City promised that they would be changing the philosophy. And for a team that's not historically been spenders, they said they were going to splash the cash. They've lived up to that, and they've kind of started in style. They've added Chivas striker Alan Pulido, joining as a DP in a club record transfer fee, which I think anything was pretty much going to be a club record transfer fee for KC. Fox Sports Mexico have said it's in the region of $9.5 million. Now, Pulido was the joint top scorer in the 2019 Liga MX Apertura with 12 goals in 18 games. And he's already set out his stall. He's saying he wants to win the MLS Cup and the Golden Boot. Maybe setting his aspirations a little bit high. It would be a big turnaround for KC if they did that. But with this and the Caps rumoured 5 to 8 million fee for Cavallini, which we think is probably going to be about 6, but we'll come to that in the next part. It seems that it's a new direction for MLS.
It's a what?
Kind of a new direction for MLS clubs.
Really?
Yeah, clubs that aren't spending money are now starting to spend money.
It's a new direction for the middle tier.
What do you think of Pulido's addition to KC, first of all?
You're right. It is a kind of at least a bit of a philosophy change for them in terms of investing more in a significant transfer fee. I forget. Did they get Namath originally free back in the day?
Well, they've never really spent much money.
Yeah, the majority of their transfers have been free transfers. They don't. If they spend anything, it's allocation money they'll spend.
Right. So this has got to be exciting for their fans and their followers. My one question is this, which I didn't have time to fully investigate.
I know what your one question is. What happens to Johnny Russell? When does he come to Vancouver?
Yeah, no, that's definitely not my question. My question is this. One of the things that they've been fairly successful at, and I think Johnny Russell's an example of this, is Peter Vermees has been very strong at only bringing in players who play in the style they play in.
Yeah,
so
although he has kind of come out and said he's open to being a bit more flexible, I think, with his style. Yeah.
Okay.
Which would make a lot of sense. I mean, to bring a guy in that's got all those goals in Liga MX is hopefully great, and hopefully we're going to see that with the Whitecaps as well. It's always interesting to see how people adapt to new leagues and new environments, though, as well. And like Cavallini here, the pressure is on Pulido right away to deliver, especially for a team like KC, who missed out in the playoffs for the first time since 2010. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure there. But if they're spending money, and the Whitecaps are spending money, and we've seen San Jose spending money as well, it does feel now that clubs are starting to come to a realisation. Look, you've got some big spenders, Atlanta, LAFC, they're splashing the cash. The new teams that's going to come in, Miami and Nashville, and probably the ones down the road as well, they're going to be spending big money. It does start to feel now that this is the only way that these clubs are going to compete, is actually making some big payments. But you've got the risk then, an injury. If you only spend the cash on one guy, that guy gets injured, you've derailed everything.
Yeah, I've said this multiple times in the past. And the way MLS is set up, you really need to have 3 players who are making $2 million or more and are worth that amount of money.
Otherwise, on a reduced scale, look at Pacific FC. Hayburn, De Jong, they're 2 big signings, they're 2 big money men, injured, out for the season. Well, for most of the season. And it kind of derailed them a bit.
Yeah.
Of course, there is cap relief in MLS, which there isn't in CPL.
And it made Taron Campbell, that made space for him.
Yeah, that's true. But it's going to be interesting now to see how other clubs follow, and if this is going to be the norm and the expected norm now. It just feels that things have changed a little bit, where the teams that haven't been spending money are now deciding that they want to.
But they're also not, like, I think this investment from KC is significant, but it's not crazy. This is not like crazy money. This is not like
I don't know, $9.5 million.
It's significant. It's significant.
It's more than a lot of teams have actually paid for.
Yeah,
for players.
It's significant, but it's not like crazy. It's not like over the top.
Well, when you look at world football, no.
I mean, even in MLS.
World football.
In MLS,
I think
in
it's
MLS, I think
pretty
it's
high.
The most has been it's like 16, 17. So it's not that far off.
I mean, that definitely puts him in the top third, and it moves the Whitecaps into the top third with the Cavallini one as well. We'll have a look at the break, actually. We'll try and dig out some of the biggest transfers.
But so some players you got to pay for. There's also some players you can get for free.
Yeah,
right?
and I do like spreading the cash around to have more than just one quality talent. But anyway,
unless it's Johnny Russell.
Oh yeah, I'd break the bank for him.
And your
I'd
bank's
break into a bank for him.
And your bank's very full because you like to save it.
Well, obviously, yeah. Dropped a dime the other day. Hit me in the head as I went down to pick it up. Wednesday. So, talking of splashing the cash and making additions, San Jose Earthquakes were another team that paid some money this week, undisclosed amount in this case, but they paid Villarreal a club record transfer fee to permanently secure Argentine winger Christian Espinosa. Now, he led the team last year with 13 assists and scored 2 goals. So again, another example of a team willing to spend to add some talent.
Now, weren't they also rumored to be in for Pulido? There's
a couple of teams in for Pulido, just like there's a couple of teams meant to be in for Cavallini, including Sporting KC,
yeah.
Interestingly enough. And, I mean, it's arguable whether they got the better guy in the end. They've paid more to bring a guy. So that will be something to watch as the season goes on. Does Pulido perform better than Cavallini? Which one makes the better adjustment to MLS? And you maybe kind of think Cavallini, I know he's not played here, but he is Canadian, so he might be a little bit more used to the environment.
Yeah, but just in this moment, Michael, you have to say Pulido has better team around him.
Yeah, Pulido for me is the guy I think will be better. But who knows? And Steve has got these top transfer fees up for us to have a little look at.
You got Pity Martinez. He's actually the number one, almost.
Is Barco number 2?
Barco number 2. They're both about 11 million.
Both over $1 million. This isn't pounds.
11 million pounds.
Yeah, this website's coming up with.
And then the next one is Pozuelo with 8. So that's the next highest.
But that's pounds, right?
That's pounds, yeah.
Yes.
Can you translate this for us, Michael? No.
Just double it.
If we're looking at US, it's currently $1.32 US dollars after the general election on Thursday.
Oh yeah, how was that for you?
It was great for Scotland.
Oh, so we'll get to that on Thursday. Sorry, jumping ahead.
But yeah, I mean, some big teams, and it's interesting that the teams that are spending the money are the teams that didn't make the playoffs as well. So at least in the West.
Yeah.
Steve's doing some little calculations here. So let's see what £11.88 million is.
16 million US.
16 million.
At this time, but who knows what it was back then, right?
Yeah. Keeping on Wednesday news, another Western rival for the Caps, the LA Galaxy, added some MLS experience. They signed free agent Sasha Kljestan. He's 34 now, but 10 seasons in the league under his belt, 40 goals, 102 assists, in 281 appearances. He's adding depth and experience. It's going to be good for some of the younger guys coming through, but I mean, is it a good signing? Are his best days behind him? Because last year he struggled. Just 1 goal and 3 assists for Orlando.
It depends on how much they're going to use him. That's the thing. Is he a prominent player? Then that might be an issue.
Or
if
depth off the bench.
Yeah, off the bench. Then he's a quality signing. Then
the big question is how will he be received by the LA fans after his long time spent with Chivas USA.
They're big rivals. There's probably a lot of folk going.
How much time did he spend there?
Who was Chivas?
He was there before he went to Europe.
Oh, before
he did well. He did well enough to go to Belgium, right?
That's when Chivas actually won some games. Not a lot, but they still won some.
That's when they existed.
It's an interesting addition, and it's one of those guys that does add depth, but you've lost a guy like Zlatan.
Yeah.
And you're bringing in a Kljestan, so obviously they're going to be adding more pieces than that. It all depends, I guess, on what his salary is, but he's been on a downward spiral, it's felt, but maybe if he's in a team with better players, it's going to bring the best out from him again. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, the Whitecaps will be hoping that one of their midfielders, Bom Hwang, will be someone that has a standout 2020 season. He's been playing so much football, though, since 2018, and he's still at it. Yeah. He's still not getting the rest that I want him to get. He's down in Korea just now.
I saw him score a free kick this week.
Yeah. He's playing in the East Asian Football Championship. And he had a great game
what?
against East Asian Football Championship.
Really?
Yeah.
I
had a
never
good
knew that
game
existed.
against Hong Kong in the opening match. He scored and he got an assist in that 2-0 win over Hong Kong. Beautiful goal. It was a curler. Not great from a Whitecaps perspective. We've been told he needs rest. He isn't getting that rest. He's still got a few weeks to get rest. Any concerns of him being burned out again before the season starts? Because he's played all 34 games last season for the Caps.
But according to DeSantos, the season's too short, so this is good for him.
Do we know how much time he had off from the beginning of October until he was training for this tournament?
Probably a month.
I would think probably 4 to 6 weeks.
Because he wasn't at that postseason training.
No, but he did go and play some
played
games for Korea.
Or no, friendlies, but whatever qualifiers.
So then he probably had, I'd say 4 to 6 weeks off. 6 weeks tops.
And then how long? When does this tournament end?
That I don't know.
So he might get like another 4
Thursday.
weeks off.
Yeah. So,
Thursday.
I mean, he might have another couple of weeks before he comes back here. They might give him a bit of extra time, maybe not getting back right away, but it's not ideal. You want him to be resting a little bit. Now, Korean-based journalist Steve Han ran an interview that he did with Wong back in September on Wednesday. And there was some interesting stuff in there, as Inbaum talked about his difficulties in this first year in MLS with travel and scheduling and trying to keep his spirits up when the team was losing. He said he was happy that he didn't get injured over the course of the year with him playing so much. I'm sure we were as well. He said he's got no regrets in making the move to Vancouver and to MLS. He said it was solely his decision. But he did reiterate his desire to play in Europe, saying that chance may come this winter, next summer, or maybe 2 years. So he's keeping his options open.
Yeah.
But it does sound like if a European team made some kind of inclinations to bringing him there this winter, he wouldn't necessarily say no. The Whitecaps might. But, I mean, it could be something that maybe sees him moving on a little bit. He also talked about some abuse that he's been taking online because his performances for the national team apparently have not been as good as some of his earlier ones. So he got a lot of abuse online on Instagram and Twitter and things like that, which I didn't know about until that interview. And it's always sad to see that.
I doubt you can read Korean, so you wouldn't know.
It's translate. That's what Google Translates for. But usually it'd be maybe a story or something. So maybe there was and I missed that. But I mean, he is going to be tired and it is going to affect his performances, and that is a concern of mine coming into the new season.
It's a concern, but it depends on how he's rested at the time he's rested. Like 4 to 6 weeks, most people that's what they have in other leagues. So maybe that might be good enough.
That's true. I mean,
previously he had no rest and he was playing injured too at sometimes.
Yeah.
Still on Wednesday, Austin FC part owner Matthew McConaughey was in London midweek and said that he feels that soccer can overtake baseball and hockey in the US in time. Now, is that realistic? Wishful thinking?
You're talking about Matthew McConaughey, the actor, right?
Yeah. He's a part owner of Austin FC. I didn't know that. All right.
A little dazed and confused. I'm sure you like that movie.
I could not name any movie he's been in, but I know he goes, all right.
That's from Dazed and Confused.
I don't know. I've never seen it.
You never seen Dazed and Confused?
No.
It was like, I was in high school when it came out. It's interesting. It's, what's his name?
Matthew McConaughey?
No, the director. He did that Boyhood movie. He does some interesting films.
But yeah, I mean, can you see in time soccer overtaking baseball and hockey in the US?
Hockey, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ice hockey, absolutely.
I think that. Baseball seems a stretch. I mean, it's the national pastime, national sport. If it did, it would be phenomenal. But I couldn't see it.
Even hockey would be hard still. Eventually, maybe, but not in the near future. Hockey is very... Sure. It's a niche sport. It's very entrenched right now, so it's hard to see it. Baseball definitely.
In the colder climates, it's more popular, obviously, but I could see it because it's not as popular in the warmer places. Then
it's pretty popular even there. It's just a few cities in the warmer air climates. Like it's huge in Dallas, for example.
Yeah, well, Dallas draw fans for most things.
But Dallas sells out their arena, their hockey arena, so and they can't do it for FC Dallas. So that's. There's something there, and in the floor, in Florida, one team doesn't do well, one team's doing really well in attendance. So it all depends.
If you look at the game here in Canada, I mean, where do you see it standing?
Number one, baby.
It's never
Number
going to
one.
overtake hockey. I mean,
What?
No,
let's
that's
be
definitely
honest.
not.
In the city of Vancouver in the 70s, the Whitecaps were bigger than the Canucks, but now with the culture shift, it definitely hockey seems to be, it's a hockey culture throughout Canada and in Vancouver. CFL, I can easily see, and you could argue it already has, overtaken CFL in popularity. In the younger generation, the older generations of Canadians, you do tend to find that CFL is still their favourite sport.
CFL
seems an older fan base.
CFL is popular in between Alberta and Manitoba. I don't think it'll ever overtake that. But in BC, Ontario, and in Quebec, there I see definitely you can see soccer overtake.
Long term on the prairies, I can see it overtaking them. It'll take a while.
It'll take a very long time.
Because in the prairies, they like. Part of supporting
the Riders.
Yeah, so part of supporting
definitely not there.
No, like I went to school in Regina. I went to lots of games. Part of what it is like it's a community thing. It's like this is it's just coming together.
So are the Riders.
No,
very much community.
that's what I'm talking about with the Riders.
I thought you meant
that's exactly what it is. And I think that association football can have that same effect and go even deeper than the CFL.
Again, that would be fantastic. I love the CFL. I've talked about that before. I'm a big fan of it. But I'd be surprised in those places. But in general in Canada, I definitely see soccer taking over from it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing, this might not be a popular thing to talk about. One thing that was interesting to me was watching when TFC won MLS Cup. And you saw the celebrations in Toronto. They were like bigger and more meaningful and impressive than I thought they would have been.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
Basketball.
In Canada?
Yeah, because it's like obviously the Raptors are doing well and they've got fans throughout the country, as have the Blue Jays, because it's the only Canadian team just now. I still think soccer has a really good chance to be firmly established as the number 2 sport. Would you say it is already, or?
No, definitely not number 2.
Well, it also depends on what are you talking about.
Yeah, if you're talking about world soccer, then maybe you got a chance to be number 2. But if you're talking about just about Canadian League, then no, not at this point.
No, but I mean, it already is like the number 1 participatory sport in Canada.
Yeah, because it's easier for kids to play. All good for the future. And we'll be back talking about more stuff from this week after this.
Hi, I'm Mark Dos Santos, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Think Tank. Johnny Rotten and Public Image Limited there. With a song from 1992 about thinking about tanks. We'll be thinking about tanks a lot, and we'll come to that later in this part. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. Thursday. TFC re-signed Captain America Michael Bradley. Sadly, not to that rumoured $6.5 million salary that would have been triggered if TFC had won the MLS Cup. So close.
Yeah, but I think they would have traded that in for an MLS Cup. They would have been okay with it. Honestly, I think.
Oh yeah, well, MLSE, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they would have. Yeah.
Like if it was an option that if Whitecaps won an MLS Cup and if Brexit had his contract extended or something because they won an MLS Cup, the Whitecaps, wouldn't you be happy with it? Maybe not $6.5 million, but maybe like a DP salary.
Oh,
that would happen.
that would
happen anyways.
That would be.
There's an interesting.
It happened anyways without
Yeah,
winning an MLS Cup, would you?
That would have been fine if the people knew that that's what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I would have taken an MLS.
But when the
Cup
person
and kept
responsible
Richie.
doesn't know that was going to happen, that's a problem.
Ah, good old Jeff. I don't know why so much was made about that thing with TFC, because as Steve says, it's like I'm sure they would have gladly taken another MLS Cup for their trophy case and still had him. And of course, it will be interesting to see what salary he is on. But it's rumoured that it's going to be a TAM player at the maximum level of a TAM player,
and
for
the
2
thing
years
is,
with an option.
And the thing is, they said in an interview on TSN that he said, "Are you going to sign another DP if I sign this contract?" And they said yes, they would. That's why he signed it. So
I mean,
they're going to bring a top player in.
Yeah, it opens up a DP spot. It's a nice bit of business from TFC. You do have to say. Bradley said that his best years are still ahead of him. And that could be a daunting prospect, because there was a very interesting tweet from Joga Benito that went out this week, actually highlighting what Bradley has achieved at TFC. And I don't really like to give TFC praise, but Bradley's had 200 games. He's been in 8 cup finals, including 3 MLS Cups, winning 5 trophies altogether. That's a pretty impressive haul. I mean, you consider they had a good run at the Champions League as well.
That was one of the finals.
Yeah.
5 trophies. That includes the Supporters' Shield, or does it?
Yeah, and includes Voyageurs Cups.
Yeah.
And
The majority are Voyageurs.
the best ever season by an
three of them,
MLS club, which LAFC could have maybe outdone, but they didn't. So, I mean, you don't like TFC, don't like Michael Bradley, but you do have to grudgingly acknowledge he's been a fantastic player for them and instrumental really in their success. Same with Altidore as well. Not really a fan of the guy, but what he's brought to that TFC team, he's the kind of guy that you just wish the Whitecaps had a dominant midfield like that and a dominant striker, and maybe one day. We're playing catch up, of course, with TFC, because we're just a new club from 2011, whereas they've been on the go 4 years older than us.
You really want to go there?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I
Thank
want to
you.
get this show finished.
Yeah.
Still on Thursday. I was talking about the FA Cup a couple of shows ago and my love for the US Open Cup. Well, the USSF announced their first revamp of the tournament this week. First revamp since 2012, and hopefully it's going to make it even better. It's going to kick off earlier, with 11 MLS teams now entering the tournament at an earlier stage, meaning more matches against lower level teams, hopefully meaning some more giant killing opportunities, some cup sets and success for these teams. I love that idea. But the tournament is going to kick off on March 24th. Some of the bad things about that is college players aren't going to be released and available until May 1st, so some of these teams that might rely on college players aren't going to have them. And it is a worry that the MLS teams who already put out weaker teams in the early rounds of this are going to take it even less seriously and put out even more weak teams. But
So forget them. Like, if they're going to do that, who cares?
yeah,
Like,
I just want the tournament to get the respect and the recognition that it really should get.
if you don't want to win this tournament and you're an MLS and you're an MLS side, you're foolish.
It gets you into the Champions League, which of course is the whole other argument as well, because a lot of teams don't care if they're in the Champions League or not, because it can derail your season, as we have seen with some teams over the years.
But it also gets you more money too.
It's the thing.
And more of the
I
gam,
just hate
sweet gam.
There's a lot of things about modern football that I hate.
Gam all over my
There's
bread.
some modern football things that I love, but
Wait,
one of
what?
the things is the lack of taking cup competition seriously. That's like a big thing for me. It just really, really pisses me off.
Yeah, I agree. The epitome, the worst thing I think we've seen in the modern era of football, Michael, and as much as I don't like them as a club, even though Steve does, it was that year when FIFA had the first big Club World Cup tournament, and Man United opted to not be in the FA Cup to go and play in that. Like that was appalling.
Horrible.
That was appalling.
And the fact they were allowed to even do that. I mean, they could easily have put a team in that was just all the young kids, and then
That would have been better.
You had the circumstances as well this year where Liverpool, who are away at that, were forced to play a game in the League Cup the day before they were meant to fly out, which is ridiculous as well. But there's some good things about modern football. The fact it's more accessible to people around the world. I can sit in my house and watch live East Fife games as an example. So you're getting that availability and access that you never had before, but with it comes a lot of bad things. Friday. Now, something we first heard about a few weeks ago, but couldn't report on for confidentiality reasons, was sadly confirmed on Friday. Victoria Highlanders have left the USL, setting up once again in the Pacific Coast Soccer League for this season only, because they're wanting to put their whole focus on the new Tier 3 league that's going to be starting in BC in 2021. And they just feel that leaving USL League 2 now is the best way for them to do that and to get a solid footing and to get things ready for that season. It means TSS Rovers are going to be the only BC side in the Northwest Division. Calgary Foothills will be in as well as another Canadian team. But it means that the rivalry in the Juan de Fuca Plate may or may not be contested for. There could be a one-off friendly or a home and away friendly if they can try and fit that in. But it's interesting on a couple of levels. One, that they feel that USL League 2 with the travel involved is a less appealing prospect for them than the PCSL, which to the players I don't think it will be, and I think they'll attract a less quality of player, but it helps them maybe get their ducks in a row for this Tier 3 league, which does look like it's going to be starting now in 2021, so that can only be a good thing, hopefully, for the province and for the development of young players here.
Yeah, that's how I view this, Michael, is that this is hopefully some short-term pain for long-term gain for the Victoria Highlanders as a club and for their supporters.
I should point out as well, they've actually had their reserve team in the PCSL the last couple of seasons. So it's just they're now putting their first team in.
Yeah. If they can be a part of the BC League One or whatever it's going to be called, that would be great. That would be awesome. So if this helps facilitate that, or helps the 1 year of not being in USL and the finances that are more significant to be involved, that can help get them ready for the BC League, I think that's a good thing. I do feel bad for TSS, especially, and a little bit for Foothills to lose a Canadian opponent.
Yeah,
but
there's going to be one new team in the division this year, but they're another Oregon team, so it's more travel.
Yeah, especially for Calgary.
Yeah, it's certainly tough for them. The other good thing about the PCSL is this is going to help Island Soccer and develop the young players there for Pacific, and there's also, it looks like Victoria United is going to get sort of reignited, and they're going to be in the PCSL as well. So there's going to be more options for these island guys to hopefully come through and make their mark for Pacific and in the CPL. Also on Friday, MLS confirmed the date and format for the 2020 Super Draft. It's going to be on Thursday, January the 9th. It's a 9 a.m. start for us out west.
Is it now called the Super Conference Call?
That would be SEC. I can get by with that. Hashtag SEC. It's basically just a glorified filmed conference call. They're going to be filming teams huddled around a telephone speaking into a loudspeaker. It's going to be really weird. It's going to be broadcast live on Twitter.
I don't think they're going to have the cameras on the teams, are they?
No, they are.
Oh, wow.
That's what they announced.
That's weird. I never read that.
They said the decision makers.
I thought they would just have where there was just like a studio, and then the commissioner would just announce the pick, whoever the pick was.
No, Jeff Anderson will be mic'd up. He'll have a camera.
I was going to say, so for Vancouver it'll just be Axel and MDS, because those are the two yeses.
Yeah, because they're the decision makers.
Yeah, those are the two yeses. The other people don't count, right?
Yeah.
The good thing is they just, I think this past weekend they had some kind of college showcase.
It was the College Cup today, yeah.
No, but they had the college
the showcase was around it
for the teams that weren't in the College Cup.
Yeah.
I think the College Cup is going on the whole week this week or whatever.
Yeah, today was the final.
Today was the final?
Yeah.
I thought it was the whole week or whatever. But whatever the case is, they're at least doing that training session they would normally do.
Yeah, that's what they normally did in early January.
But they would do it the week of the draft,
yeah.
Where now they can do it a month before, and then the teams can actually watch these guys and then do a little bit more investigating, so they know if they have a contract with somebody else.
And the Caps have the 4th pick this year. I kind of hope they trade it just so I don't have to pay any attention to this, because I'm scheduled to work that day and I don't really want to take the day off work to watch a conference call and play out live on Twitter.
And
then do the interviews.
And the thing is, they might use this as a package to get some other player. Like, you know.
Yeah. MDS, and he's hinted at that to us, he's hinted at that to other things, that he is open to using assets and trading assets if it's going to get him a good return. Now, MLSsoccer.com have been counting down their teams of the decade on their site this week.
We're really going to talk about this?
Yeah, top 5. Dallas were 5th. Sporting KC were 4th. Red Bulls were 3rd. Whitecaps were 2nd. Oh, sorry. Galaxy were 2nd. And Seattle, number 1. Hard to argue. 2 MLS Cups, 3 final appearances, 1 Supporters' Shield, 3 US Open Cups. Never not qualified for the playoffs.
I'm surprised they didn't put Atlanta and LAFC in the
do you
top
know,
5.
I hadn't followed
shocked.
it up until Friday when I just read the final one,
Yeah.
and I was expecting to see at least Atlanta in there.
Yeah.
I was going to go on about how ridiculous
So I didn't read
it was.
these. I just saw the headlines. But to me, and obviously I'm biased in this, but Dead Bull, for someone they never won. They've never won an MLS Cup.
No, but they've won a couple of Supporters' Shields,
Okay.
and they've been consistent in the East.
Yeah, okay.
So
And yeah, it's just the decade. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
okay.
and it's over the whole decade. But grudgingly, again, Seattle do deserve it. They've been the club you kind of want to aspire to. You hate to say that when it's a rival, but they really are.
He spends a few minutes in their dressing room, Steve, and he just can't stop salivating over them.
It's all because of Stephen Fry's Egyptian tattoo. I'll be chatting to him about that the next time I see him. Let's move on to the weekend. And there's really only one story to talk about this weekend. We've saved the best to last. Yes, it was announced today, the press release came out, that the Whitecaps are going to be holding a press conference on Monday to reveal a new striker. Now, it doesn't say who the new striker is. I think we can maybe speculate. It was originally going to be Zlatan, but City of Vancouver would not let them have a lion tied up outside BC Place. So instead, as one door closes, another opens, which I had a Ford Focus like that once, but as one door closes, another one opens, and we've got the next best thing to Zlatan. We've got the Canadian Zlatan. El Tank, Lucas Cavallini.
They call him El Tank?
That's
his
name,
nickname.
Which I think
Mexico.
translates to the tank. My Spanish isn't that good, but that, coupled with the fact that there's a big armoured vehicle outside BC Place in Whitecaps colours with the number 9 on it, I guess he's getting my detective buddy's number on his shirt. Cavallini is our new number 9.
It'd be awesome if he was actually nicknamed the Tank because he liked to wear tank tops.
Oh, yes.
That was the reason why.
I was going to say they're going to probably sell tons of tank tops this year. They'll probably have a marketing thing. It's like the Cavallini tank top. That's what I would do if I was in
I think you're
marketing.
giving them ideas.
With the number on his back.
Yeah. There we go. We'll take just a 5% cut of that. We're quite generous that way.
Yeah, it's not how it works. You got to tell them first.
Oh, they'll hear it on this. Now, it's rumoured to be a 4-year deal, so it's probably 2 years plus 2 in options. $6 million transfer fee is the figure that was getting bandied about Friday and Saturday. We've talked about it a little bit before, but we've had time to kind of digest it.
Yeah.
We're talking about this before the show. Do you feel he's worth that money?
Like,
I mean, it would take us about 3 years to earn that on the show.
I like Lucas Cavallini. I like him because he's Canadian and because he's been contributing to the men's national team and growing as a player, coming from his time in South America to play in Mexico. I think he can do well in MLS. I think he can potentially even do well in MLS on a poor side like Vancouver has been. The one thing I've been thinking about and talking to some people about this week, like I was on my way on my little journey into to UBC today, I was having a phone conversation with someone, and it was kind of like, it feels like crazy that they're spending $6 million on this player. Now, again, will he be worth it? Yeah, maybe he will be. But when you look at how in MLS, like did they pay any money for Pedro Morales? I don't think. He came on a free, I'm pretty sure. There's other players they've gotten, I think, that were more vital in terms of setting up how the team played, that they got on better deals. And
it does, and I don't want this to sound in any way disrespectful to Canadian players, but it does feel a lot of money for a Canadian player.
Which I think at this moment is at least a fair critique.
A good Canadian player,
yeah,
who's had the two best years of his career in 2018 and 2019.
It feels,
and entering his prime as well.
Yeah, it's still like 27 this month.
Like this striker feels like the whipped cream or the cherry that should go on top of the main dessert, which should be someone to run the show, someone to be creative.
Well, he needs a supporting cast, and we need a creative midfielder. And to get that kind of quality midfielder, you'd think it would need to be a DP.
So couldn't
now
you do
we don't
that?
have a DP spot unless we buy down
someone
if that is possible, which may not
somebody
be
already
possible.
needs to get bought down, because you got 4 DPs right now on the.
No. He's taking Ardeas, right? Spot.
Well, yeah, Ardeas is gone.
He was.
I understand that, but then you got Ali Adnan, you got Inbom Wang, and then you got Montero.
He's not a DP.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's not a DP. You're right.
The Colombian's not a DP anymore.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, it seems like you spend $6 million on a creative player, and you bring someone on less or on a free to be the finisher. But yeah, I'd be happy to be proven wrong. But
me too. And it's a great addition. And you do, like, he's playing with a team. He's just signed a big contract extension with them last year. You have to pay for that kind of player.
Yeah.
It feels that you could, and this is what I was saying to Steve, it feels like you could have got a different player for that. But then Steve did rightly point out, who are you going to get for just $6 million? When you look at the global transfer market, it's through the roof.
Well, Pozuelo was €8 million.
Pozuelo was in pounds, and that
so we're talking about 12,
10 million. 10 million.
That's the kind of player they needed first, I think. And maybe they will still get that player.
They still have time to get that. Maybe this one was the first opportunity to get somebody.
I also just want to reiterate, like, this is my thought this week. I think last week I might have been like, 5 sounds reasonable.
Yeah, I did as well.
But as I've thought about it,
if it was more than 6, I would be like, you're paying, 8? Because it's like, it was really...
No, it's definitely not 8. If it was 8, I'd be more concerned.
Yeah.
But
it's not our money, so who are we to care?
I've even heard it's 6.5. Up to 6.5, but that's...
maybe we'll find out Monday.
I don't think they'll tell us.
I also don't really think it. I don't really like their social media approach around all this. I don't know if you saw that little video.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I didn't like it either. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, they put a tweet out today with all the comments not all. Some of the comments that fans had made about why you're not spending money. And
Kunarad was on there.
There's a few names I recognise. Why are you not spending money? You need to spend money. Where's the Davis money gone? So they put all that in a video, just with a typing of okay. It's like, hey, look, we've spent this money now.
They haven't.
We know Lucas Cavallini. We like Lucas Cavallini. I think Lucas Cavallini is going to score a lot of goals in MLS. He needs a supporting cast. But all that aside, the general public, and we talked about this before, I don't know if they know who Lucas Cavallini is. And again, not wanting to be disrespectful to Canadian players, because I'm pretty sure if we signed a Scottish player, folk would be like, why are you signing a crappy Scottish player for that money as well?
How dare you talk about Johnny Russell that way?
It would be, it's like, folk are going to be like, you're spending that money on a Canadian guy that we've never heard of? Why? Because their idea of a big splash is someone coming from Europe, rightly or wrongly, or maybe someone from South America or a Brazilian or something like that.
They want somebody from Europe.
Yeah.
They want
someone that they've seen on TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether in the World Cup, whether just in league football or whatever.
Yeah, the little little thing they put out today.
I thought it was disrespectful to fans that actually clearly care enough about the club.
Yeah, and
to want the club to spend money to improve.
They clarified. They said we're just having fun. I'm actually.
I missed that part.
I think they said, we're just trying. We're not trying to be mean spirited. But here's the thing, and I know social media is meant for engagement and blah blah whatever.
Yeah, but to be a bit controversial.
Just shut up and spend the money and do your job, and don't you don't need to do these cute little whatever.
Well, I don't think the social media people are involved in spending the money or.
No, but they're the ones who are choosing to communicate about it in this way.
I understand that, but they're not there spending. You can't tell them to shut up and do their job because they're not really doing that part.
No, sorry, I'm talking about them as a club.
Okay.
It's a club. You need to have an approach as a club, and and then you're spending.
You heard that, Twitter guys? Get on the scouting.
No, you're spending $6 million out of up to $22 million. You haven't spent the Alphonso Davies money.
Well, we've only got probably 13. Because the 22 is tied into appearances.
Sure.
Although we might be getting a whack at the end of this season with what he's making.
Other than Nick DeSantos, what else have they spent it on? Not Nick DeSantos, sorry.
I was like, who?
Nick DeSantos.
Sorry.
Have you just revealed something? We've brought in Nick DeSantos. I think Nick Dazovic.
Yeah, Nick Dazovic.
There's too many DeSantises as there is.
I was combining Nick and Mark.
Okay, I'm all confused.
Dazovic hasn't even scored any goals last year.
I know. For a man of his height, he's crap in the air.
But no, seriously,
But I mean, it puts added pressure on Cavallini right away.
Yeah.
First of all, let's hope he doesn't tank in MLS.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's maybe going to let us know what the Whitecaps' approach is going to be next year. If you want to go into battle, you want to go in with a tank. That's the way I look at it. So we've got our tank. So that's our ground movement. If we get some wingers to send some crosses into the air, then we've got some air attack as well. So advancing on the ground, good in the air, blitzkrieg.
Sounds like
Axel Schuster's made his mark already. So as I mentioned, we're doing this show live on Sunday. The press conference is Monday. So we're not going to have any audio from Lucas Cavallini or Axel Schuster tonight. But for those of you listening on the podcast, we're going to bring you a little bit of what was said on Monday. So we're going to bring you the 2 scrums that were done after the initial press conference. So this isn't stuff that's been filmed and put out there already. So we're going to hear first from Lucas Cavallini, and then we're going to hear from the Whitecaps Sporting Director, Axel Schuster.
What excites you the most about this transaction?
My welcome. It's really good. Really good to be back home. Excited to start working, and I'm just excited in general. Happy to be here.
What are your expectations?
First off, as a striker, score goals, help this team win games, and take it game by game. And obviously, the big objective here is making playoffs. Right? That's something important for me. Something important for the club. So. That's the key thing we need this season.
Have you had a chance to look at some of the Whitecaps tape from last year? Is there any guys you fancy you could link up with, possibly a Rainer or an Inbom or something of the like? Obviously still some pieces probably to come in and probably some pieces going out, but do you think there's some guys here you can make some plays happen with?
Yeah, the core is good of this team. There's a lot of key players, there's a lot of quality players, so of course when we start training we get to know each other better and obviously try to hook up for the season.
I don't know how much you can say about what Mark's told you about your role here. Does he see you playing as like a lone striker? Does he see you playing maybe in a partnership with the likes of Freddie Montero, someone like that?
Yeah, obviously my natural position, which is the number 9. We haven't spoke directly about that yet, but obviously when we start training, we'll start to get to know what position works best for me, and the only objective I have is to score goals.
And when you do come here, I mean, the last 2 years of your career has probably been the 2 best of your whole career so far. But coming here as a marquee player, a lot of fanfare around you, do you feel the pressure? Do you thrive in that pressure?
I come from leagues where the fans pressure players way more than here, so pressure's not going to be a question here.
What was your conversations with the club in terms of the fit here and why this is the right place for you right now?
Yeah, well, they made me feel comfortable coming here. Obviously, they gave me all the confidence. They felt that I was the right player to be at this club, to do my job, and obviously, as I said, the striker key thing is to score and contribute to this team as more as possible.
Do you like Mark Dos Santos' philosophy, the way that he plays the game, the way that he wants this Whitecaps team to play?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, we just starting to get to know each other, but yeah, when we start working together, I can answer that question better.
Lucas, over the years, the Whitecaps have struggled to provide service for their strikers. How dependent is your success on getting service from the midfield? Can you go out and get that ball by yourself, or do you need service?
Oh, I can go out and get that ball as well, but I'm not really worried about that. I know there's a lot of key players here, and they're going to help me in the best way possible.
Lucas, you spoke about a couple of months ago that the only club you would go to in MLS was Toronto FC, but now you're here at Vancouver. What changed for you? What brought you here? What changed your mind about that?
Canada changed me. Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, it's all the same. We're all in Canada. This is my home, so I'm happy to be here.
Your impressions of BC Place? Have you played at BC Place? Do the fans there, the pitch?
Yeah, I've been here last March with the national team, so I was really impressed with the fans. The fans really behaved well with me. I remember that, so just excited.
Were you surprised when they chose a clip to show of you? They bring you as a goal scorer. They showed that clip of you basically coming back and getting the ball. Did that surprise you when that's the one that decided to highlight you, or are you happy they did that?
Yeah, well, it's not only about scoring goals. It's actually, as a number 9, you're the first key player in that system, that pressuring system and defending system. So yeah, it's an extra. As a number 9, there's not a lot of number 9s that do that. So I like to do things extra.
Is that what you want to bring to this club? Obviously, they want you to score goals, but do you see the bigger picture? You're going to be the new face of this team. Is that something you want?
Yeah, well, with the help of my teammates, we can all do this as a team. Not really about me, but it's all about the team.
A lot of the strikers that they've had on this team seem to be guys who want to drift out to the wings and stuff like that. They haven't really had a guy who likes to hang around the box and pick up the garbage or whatever. Are you more a guy that hangs around the 18-yard box and just pounces on opportunities?
Not really. Just as I said recently, I don't really like to stand as a postman. I like to work off the number 10, work off their defenders, and try to just tire them out the whole game. So I could do whatever they want me to do.
Lucas, there's a personal armored vehicle outside. Your thoughts on that? Have you seen that before? And how did you get your nickname?
Something unique, no? Something you don't see any day. But yeah, obviously the nickname came since I was in the youth system in Uruguay. It's just a nickname they use. Just players that they have a brick wall in front of them, they just run through them. So that's where I got my nickname from.
So you get to keep that out there, eh?
Yeah, I probably get to drive it too.
Pulido arrived last week from the Getty Mix as well, making statements about winning the MLS Cup and winning the Golden Boot. Are you going to make any bold predictions like that as well?
Yeah. It would be nice. Those are extra things, you know. Just gotta take it day at a time. So we'll see what happens.
So that was Lucas Cavallini there talking after his initial press conference to myself and some of the other journalists. Let's hear now from Axel Schuster.
How important was it for you to get this deal done?
Really important because we have only one DP slot, and it was clear from the first day that it should be the number 9. And as I always said, we looked for the profile first, and so finally we are really happy that we find the exact right player to our profile, to our cornerstones, who meets all of that. And the player also really wants to do it. He really wants to come here, to compete here in his home country, and to show the people in the MLS that he is able to compete on the highest level and to help this team to be a better team in future.
So you think this signing sends a message to your supporters?
Yes, to be honest, the most important message should be that we are really clear with our philosophy, really clear with that, what we want to be in the next season, what the badge is standing for, and that's our 4 cornerstones: mentality, team spirit, discipline and work ethic. And that everything else is on the top. So technical, tactical, personal qualities, all of that is on the top. So that should be the message.
So is 1B getting somebody in the midfield?
Yes, of course. We try to put the puzzle pieces together, and we are competing for the best profiles at every position we are looking for. Easy work can be done easy. So we are competing for difficult and good solutions, and so we are still working on everything.
Speaking of the profile, often last year Mark Dos Santos said he wanted to be a team that pressed. In reality, it didn't happen maybe as much as people liked. Pressing, people often say it's one of the best ways to score goals. Is this kind of the start of higher pressing, higher tempo next year?
Yes, but because the 4 cornerstones I mentioned, they if everybody is good at that, that helps to press. Because pressing is already the next step. That is something tactically. For me, you have to have the right mentality, work ethic, the discipline, and the team spirit to do that together. So, of course, we want to be very clear with that, and we don't want to sign any player who is not good at that.
So it's early days, and obviously a lot of this might depend on who else you bring in. But where do you see Lucas fitting into the setup of the team? Do you see him as a lone striker? Do you see him playing maybe in a partnership with Fredy Montero, for example?
It depends a little bit on situation, but I think for sure he is our central striker, and he is in the system Mark likes most, in the 4-3-3, the striker on the top.
So if he is then thought of as a central striker, where does that leave the likes of Fredy Montero?
That leaves him in a competition to work hard and to fight for the positions. But as I said before, it depends always on situation, and it depends on all the players we get together. So there is not a must that we only play with one striker. And we should be flexible at that as well, because sometimes even another system is a better solution for the next opponent. So, but at the end, it leaves everybody to compete hard for his position, because there are no guarantees for anybody to play.
Axel, how long has the club had his discovery rights for, and did any other MLS teams try to make an offer for Lucas's discovery rights?
I don't know about any other offer, and he didn't mention something like that, so maybe you have to ask him. In the period we worked together and discussed everything, there was no other club. And I think the name is really for a long time in the mind of the club. But for any reason, it have not been possible to do it in before, and now we are really happy that we could fix the deal.
Can fans expect any more signings before the end of the month?
There are still some days in the month, so yes, we are working on that. But as I said before, it is not only about us. Maybe we already have an agreement with a player, and we are absolutely clear that he is the right profile, but we have to work with his club. And as you know, the transfer period in a lot of markets are still ahead, and a lot of clubs are still playing, so sometimes we have to respect that the club says we want to focus first on our last games, and then we want to work on that things.
So will the majority of your shopping maybe be done in January when those markets open?
The wish of Mark and me is to bring in some more signings before 18th of January, that they can start with the team to train. But of course, if we have something very good in our mind and it's not possible to do that, then we are open to do it until end of January. But yeah, I'm optimistic that we get some more signings until the first training.
Yeah, MLS CBA is set to expire in January, and many people have people saying that it might impact a lot of the mid-tiered signings with the TAM and JAM. The future uncertain about that. Is it impacting the way you guys do business, and do you have any idea of how things might change in the future after that expires?
No, I haven't done. Even Greg Anderson, who is my expert for all the MLS rules and things going on here, I have not an idea about that right now. But to be honest, every player we are speaking right now, and there are also players in this league, that was not an issue, so it do not influence our negotiations right now.
Well, we'll see how Lucas does. I've got high hopes for him. I want him to do well. He's a great lad.
Great lad.
Great for Canada. I do still have this concern that we're signing so many Canadian players that when they have to go on international duty, we've lost such a key core of our squad in one goal. But
no, we got rid of Daniel Henry now.
Oh yeah, that's true. And Russell Tybert doesn't seem to be getting called up as much these days.
Sold.
We're fine.
They sold Daniel.
Unloaded.
But let's see how Lucas does. A lot of pressure on him, and hopefully we'll have a little chat with him on next week's Christmas special. What would be more special for our Christmas special than the guy that's going to give us a lot of gifts in 2020 now? 2020 now? For the guy that's going to give us a lot of gifts in 2020. Anyway, that is it for the news of the week. Just one thing though before we do go to break. We've had a tweet in from Greg Petrie, our good friend at Iredom World on Twitter, and he makes a very valid point. When we were talking about can football be one of the top sports in Canada and America, he says you can be one of the biggest sports in Canada if you're only on streaming services.
Ooh.
That is a good point, because so many people aren't going to pay for the streaming services, so they don't get to see the game. They don't grow the game here as a result of that.
That's probably in reference specifically to the CPL, right?
CPL, but also you've got the English Premiership and the Champions League that you can only watch on streaming services.
But I think they're doing those are doing fine.
Those are probably doing fine because they have had establishment on there. Like a couple, I don't know, I can't remember. Maybe in the mid 2000s or maybe late 90s, the NHL actually gave the hockey rights for free to NBC in order to get it on. Like a network broadcast or whatever. They gave it for free in order to get it on because they knew they weren't going to get very much money anyways. So, and now they are getting like contracts and TV contracts, and people are watching it. So you have to kind of, even if you have to give it away sometimes, you got to do that in order to at least get a game of the week on.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Hot Chili Peppers said that.
Give it away. Here's the thing though, Steve.
I'm not saying every game. I'm saying a game of the week.
Yeah.
And a certain
time.
I
totally agree with you.
Like a Friday night or Saturday night or something.
I don't disagree, but I think it's also a little bit different when you're talking about a league that's been around for 100 years, or maybe not at the time, 100 years, and a league that's brand new.
Oh, I know, but what I'm saying is that the whole idea that they weren't getting enough coverage in America at that time, so they gave it away for free in order to build that up. CPL should have done that, where they had one game a week for free every week, like not like where they do some games on CBC, some games on CBC Gem.
Because I mean, you look at the two big channels. Sportsnet's basically not showing any soccer on their main channels. They've still got Sportsnet World that shows Bundesliga and FA Cup. TSN has got football on it. It's got international games, and you've got the Club World Cup and the MLS Cup and stuff as well. I don't know that is enough to meet the demands and help grow the sport here. So we'll see what happens. Well, at least CBC did show some games this year. 10 on the main channels, 10 on the streaming one. And CBC Gem is also not even available on all kinds of TVs either, so you can't even get that. But anyway, we'll be back talking, funnily enough, about Canadian soccer after this.
Hi, I'm Lucas Cavallini. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Brush the snow up off your shoe. Inside we'll build a fire for two. Come on, everyone, it's Christmas Day. The stockings are all hung with care. The children sleeping unaware. The Santa Claus will soon be on his way. And old Jack Frost is whistling out a warning. But the gang's all here to keep the cold away. Oh, how I wish for peace on earth this Christmas. Come on, come all, it's Christmas Day.
Jingle, jingle, jingle. Another Christmas song picked by Steve there. Let everyone know what that was.
It was called It's Christmas Day by Bros, Canadian group.
Not Bros, the boy band from the 80s. I always get them mixed up when I see their name written down because they're spelled the same way. But that is our token Christmas song for this episode. But we're going to have a lot more next week in our special Christmas show, which is going to be starting at 9 o'clock on CITR Radio. Tune in for that. We should be going, I think, maybe 9 till 12.
Yeah, 12's good.
Not longer than that, because I'm working the next day early. So we'll see what happens. But welcome back to this week's episode of the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, 101.9 FM, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. And of course, the Whitecaps signing Lucas Cavallini, you could say that is their present to the fans for Christmas. Do you think there might even be some more announced before Christmas?
Based on what my friend Michael told me, I don't think so.
Don't trust anyone called Michael.
Oh, okay.
But it hasn't really been the busiest time in Canadian soccer circles, but that gives us the chance to chat about a couple of recent news stories that we never got around to talking about, but I do kind of want to delve into them in a little bit more detail. Before we get to those, though, we'll cover some of the Canadian soccer news of the week. And first up, the men's and the women's Canadian Players of the Year have been announced. After us talking about it on the show a couple of weeks ago, I completely forgot to get my vote in on time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But the men's winner was who we picked.
Yeah.
Jonathan
and
David.
That's who I had on my top. I had David. Actually, I think even before the rumors came out, there were always rumors, but I had Cavallini number 2, and I had Alfonso number 3.
Nice.
It was kind of a no-brainer.
A player who played in Vancouver, a player who's coming to Vancouver, and a player who Vancouver wanted.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I thought the whole, the fact, when I look back at the time, I wasn't sure, but looking at what David had done this year, breaking the club record of goals for Canadian scoring with a club and country combined, it was a no-brainer at that point that he was the number one guy.
I thought it was interesting. This made me laugh on 2 counts. One of them, when they were discussing the Canadian Sports Personality of the Year, and people were miffed that the shortlist didn't have Alfonso Davies on it, and the tennis player Bianca Andreescu rightly won.
Yeah, 100%.
Hands down.
Yeah.
There's no way she should not have won that.
Yeah, I don't even.
But all these folk were
was
like,
it just people upset that they weren't on the shortlist, or they didn't win?
No, just not on the shortlist.
Oh, okay,
Why
that's
is Alfonso
understandable.
Davies not on the shortlist?
I can
But it's like he's not even the best Canadian soccer player.
Yeah, no, I understand why people would be upset about that, because there's, everybody's got their own people to back and everything.
Okay, you can say he's maybe not the best, but he's at least the second best. And the bigger point of him being in that discussion is he at least began to make the breakthrough at one of the biggest football clubs in the entire world.
But you have to look at the whole year's achievements.
Yeah, I don't look
and
at. I don't.
He didn't have a good start to the year.
If you look
he won the preseason tournament.
I don't see that. I don't see him being. I think he had a very good start of the year, because I didn't expect him to play that many minutes. I wasn't one of those guys. Because he's not getting minutes, his future doesn't look bright or something. The people writing those kind of articles or tweeting.
I told his wife to try and get him on loan, but that didn't work out.
But I think the fact that but I'm not going to award him. I did give him 3rd place, but I'm not going to award him a top 2 spot, because he didn't. While he's making the breakthrough, he hasn't made the breakthrough yet. And I'm not going to give somebody on potential at this point.
Yeah,
it's got to be. You got to see some kind of results. I balanced it with results, and that's why he keeps 3rd.
I know Bayern's going through issues with their center backs, but it feels like he's made the breakthrough into the. He's a regular.
Very recently, he's really.
That's certainly not enough to give him any award for Player of the Year in football or otherwise, sporting wise.
But in terms of being in the conversation, in terms of the sports personality of the year, that's not all based on your on-field performance. It's bigger than that.
It should be, yeah.
No, then it would be called athletic performance of the year.
Andy Murray won the UK Sports Personality of the Year, and he's got no personality at all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No, sure, but
he was also the number 1 tennis player in Scotland.
But what I'm saying
I was number 3.
I think it's bigger than just the on-field performance. I think it's about the story. I think it's about the individual. That's my perception.
Yeah,
I might be wrong in what they're looking at, but that's how I.
They do look on performance.
Yeah, so, that's all it should be based on.
Well, they maybe named it wrong, but when they vote for it, it's basically. I remember there was a documentary about local player Larry Walker, baseball player, and then Jacques Villeneuve, the race car driver, and people were arguing this guy's an athlete, this guy just drives a car around in circles or whatever. So there's a big argument over that year. So, but this one, it was a clear cut. It was.
I think it's called Canadian Sports Person. I just said that because that's what the British one is. So I always get.
I think that's what it is. I'm not angry about this. I just think it wouldn't have been unjust for him to be in that conversation. I don't think he should have won.
I think if they had a footballer mentioned, though, it should have been Jonathan David, just for what he's achieved at a top European club.
No, don't even.
It's awarded. It's awarded to the nation's top athlete.
The Lou Marsh Trophy. That's what
it's called.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's awarded to the nation's top athlete, not a personality.
Sorry, everyone, that Michael brought his Britishisms into that.
It's so hard.
He tends to do that.
Yes. On the women's side, Ashley Lawrence won, and I can't remember who we said.
I had Ashley
win.
Lawrence. Last second, I remember that she had played really well with PSG and everything like that, and she was one of the top players in Canadian women's national team. I put Sinclair number 2, just out of reflex, and then I put Jordan to number 3.
Yeah,
because I know her dad, and he's very nice to me when he walks.
Yeah. And Brodie was a nice guy to chat as well. We're easily swayed here at AFTN.
Yeah.
No, I thought she did have a really great season for like a 16-year-old for sure.
Oh, Jordan?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's doing great. She's not 16 now.
Oh, 17's. Oh, yeah, she must be 18 now. Yeah, she must be 18
I
now.
don't know. They grow up so fast.
and Sinclair won, actually, the Lou Marsh Award in 2012.
Yeah.
So a soccer player has won it in the past.
Yeah. I think Sinclair will win Canadian Female Footballer of the Year next year when she breaks the record.
If she breaks the record.
When? Stop that, Michael.
Might never happen.
She what? One
she
or
might
two?
Keep giving penalties away. Let's move on. Now, we already knew that there was going to be one less Canadian team for next season, with Ottawa Fury shutting up shop, pulling out of the USL. They now have a buyer, and they've sold their spot in the league to the Miami FC, officially saying it's relocation.
Yeah.
Ottawa Fury averaged nearly 5,000 fans over the past 3 seasons. They reached the USL Championship playoffs in 2019 before not receiving the sanctioning they needed this past November to play in the USL next year, and were forced to suspend their operations. They explored relocation transfer options that was permitted to them by the USL. They've now found it in Miami. The team is managed by former Fury head coach and GM Paul Dalglish. He had been playing, Miami had been playing in the NASL up until the league folded in 2016. Since then, they've been playing in the National Premier Soccer League, the NPSL, and the National Independent Soccer Association, the NISA. They've been champions the last 2 years. They're now going to be in the USL Championship the same year that Beckham's Inter Miami launches in MLS.
That's interesting, eh?
Yeah,
and the thing is, Miami FC does have a decent supporter, they have
they've got a good history,
base,
and strong ownership, and it's obviously an owner that's a bit pissed off probably that he was frozen out really of the MLS argument.
Is he the one that goes crazy, or the Cosmos one that
kind of... The Cosmos one does, but I think he does a little bit as well.
He was the one
not
who
crazy, but he's very aggressive,
very very vocal.
Yes.
Didn't he want to buy like a promotion relegation system, or pay?
I think it was him.
He was willing to pay for it or something like that. The rights to MLS or like a major if they would do that. And they
Ricardo
It's interesting to launch a team like that when you've got an MLS team launching the same year. I mean, you had like Austin Bold launched this year, and then you've got the other Austins launching later. So at least they've had a little bit of a head start, but this seems a little bit weird, and they're obviously confident they can make money, otherwise they wouldn't be paying Ottawa. But Ottawa went on to confirm that they're not going to rise like a phoenix into the CPL. This is the end of the Fury. OSEG's Mark Gowdy told Ledroit.com that this is the end of their interest in soccer, saying, "We don't have the desire to continue to do soccer, not anymore. In contrast, if anyone wants to bring professional soccer to Ottawa in the CPL, we have a field up for rent. Up to now, we haven't been approached regarding this, and we haven't spoken with the CPL since the summer of 2018. What does this mean for the future of CPL in Ottawa?
This means that if anybody wants to play in that field, they're going to be playing a lot of in rent.
Yeah, I think someone's going to
high rental.
Whatever Ottawa team goes in the CPL, they're not playing out that stadium, basically.
Why would you? Yeah. OSG.
It's a nice stadium.
I think their actions show that really what they wanted to do was to it was all financial stuff, right? So they didn't want to go in the CPL because they felt it was going to lessen their brand, right? They kept in that. There's this. I don't think it's this article. There's another article. It's a really long form article on OSG's involvement in Ottawa sports.
Yeah, they're not bringing a rugby team or something to Ottawa.
I think so. But talked about how they basically said they because expansion fees in USL are $10 million, they felt that to go from their club valued at $10 million to go to CPL, they felt it would drop its value to $1 million. And so I don't think they got $10 million from the Miami FC.
I'd be very surprised if you can get a new franchise. But that, why would you then pay that?
But they also said, so when they're talking about like financially viable and all stuff, they said that they've lost. I think it's the average is $2.5 million in their years of operating in the USL. There's no way. I think it was not the whole. I think that was each year. So, or the average out to that being each year, and that was maybe not from them themselves. Maybe that was put by the author, but there's no way that the CPL owners each lost $2.5 million this year. Like it just doesn't. Like all this stuff doesn't make sense. It's like they just wanted it only one way, and everyone else said you can't do it that way, and they said, okay, we're out. To me, it doesn't make them look good, basically, in this whole unfortunate discussion around football in the nation's capital.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting the way forward now, but at least Ottawa can now approach this with a fresh start. It's like the Fury's out of the equation, get a new team, new owners in the city.
There needs to be a new direction for football in Ottawa.
There definitely does. And you need to have a team in the country's capital. And especially with Quebec teams coming in as well, you've got the local derby aspect. So hopefully it is sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Some more CPL news. And this is one of the stories that came out, I think, about 2 weeks ago. And we didn't have time to talk about it, but it fascinates me. I really like this. FC Edmonton announced that they're part of a new kind of ticket deal. The Ultimate Sports Fan Pass. It's a special Christmas package offering tickets to 4 of Edmonton's sports teams in 4 different sports. So you've got the Eddies in CPL action, the Eskimos in the CFL, Edmonton Prospects of the Canadian Baseball League, and the Edmonton Stingers of the new Canadian Elite Basketball League. And it's the latter of those that's kind of spearheaded the idea. So the pass costs $79 plus tax, all in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fantastic deal. Great to see the sports teams working together, coming together. No Oilers, but I mean their tickets are more expensive anyway.
Double the price of that package.
And most of the time, like, Oilers sell well. Although they didn't sell out when the Leafs came to visit, as the Canucks didn't either. So maybe the market value for some sports is kind of
because I don't know about the Oilers, but the Canucks actually made this a premium game where the prices were way higher than what normal prices are, and that's why you don't get people buying.
I mean, at some point, NFL's a good example of this. Some of the prices, because I've gone to see the 49ers play quite a few times over the years down in San Francisco. I used to go to Seattle a lot every time that they played there, and the prices for single game tickets the last couple of years in Seattle has been absolutely insane for the nosebleed seats.
And the thing is, it doesn't make sense too, because a lot of people rather watch the game at home now because it's
you often see TVs, a lot more.
Like the 4K TVs are so much better. Like you get such clarity on the thing.
I have 2 in my house.
Can't you just? Thanks, Marty McFly.
4K TVs.
Can't you just do some blogging and get a media pass for the NFL?
Ha! Definitely not. They're a bit more choosy with who they hand out their media passes to. But yes, some sports.
You must have hugged too many of their players.
Probably. Well, I'm popular down in Seattle now. Maybe I'll get one for the Seahawks. Then I'll put my 49ers hat on. I did bring my 49ers hat with me down to the MLS Cup. Didn't wear it for fear of getting beat up. But yeah, anyway. But going back to this pass, fans have until December 23rd next year to use all their tickets. I think it's fantastic. I mean, what's your general thoughts on it? Like clubs in a city working together like that to try and broaden the sports fans' view of sports.
It's a great benefit for fans, because especially if somebody that loves all the sports and everything, they want to spread their time around all of them. I think it would work perfectly. I don't know if it would work in Vancouver because like there are a couple like if you were going to the baseball team, the Canadians,
they don't need it.
They don't need it at all.
No.
They don't need any help. They sell out all their games. It seems like
the ice hockey doesn't need it.
Oh yeah, well,
the Giants.
Yeah,
I mean you've got the Whitecaps, you've got the Giants, the Lions, and if you want to have 4, and if the Canadians weren't interested, you've got the Lacrosse Warriors.
They're
team.
owned by the Canucks, so I don't know if that would work either. So I don't know
if it's going to get bums on seats, because I mean, what they're hoping for, of course, is you go to a game, you love it, and you go back. And talking to the Canadians, every summer I'm like, I need to get out to more Canadian games. Every Canadians game I've gone to, I've loved. It's been great. It's great fun. We should have an AFTN out into it.
We should.
Yeah, let's do that next summer. Yeah, we can. They give press passes to anyone. We'll be fine for that.
I when I first heard about this on the Loyal Company of the River Valley podcast for FC Edmonton, they were talking about this when it first got announced, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense for all the reasons you just said. You need gateways into your stadium and into your supporter culture experience, and so this is a great one for people, and it's reasonably priced, and
it's a great price.
It's $20 a ticket basically for all the 4 different experiences, and hopefully for as much as I don't like FC Edmonton, hopefully for them this can help get more people to become a part of their club.
Do you not like them because of the whole snow thing?
No, I think so.
The guy driving the tractor that day who tried to rip our flag with the tractor, I wasn't a big fan of him, but he doesn't work for them. He works for the city of Edmonton. He
can't read and he can't write, but that don't really matter because he comes from Edmonton and he can drive a tractor.
Hoo-ha! No, I mean, I maybe I like them a little bit less now that J Ball's gone. But I also don't know. I mean, it's hard to, in the similar ways with Greg Kerfoot, it's hard to be negative about Tom Fath because he's given so much.
Yeah.
But again, he's not given in certain ways that you feel are holding back the progression of the club and show a lack of ambition, which is again similar to Greg Kerfoot. But that's, I think, the prerogative of fans and supporters to take those opinions. But yeah, so anyways, I hope this helps them. I hope this grows them because you want them to grow, because you want the league to grow. And
I'm curious to see what other teams, other cities adopt this model, because it's probably not unique. There's probably other cities all over that's done this, but it's the first time me really hearing it, I think, in Canada, but it's a great model. And I mean, one thing that annoys me is when, especially on social media, you've got fans of one sport deriding fans of it. Yeah. And you get this a lot with the soccer and the CFL fans going back and forward. And it's like, look, if you like a sport, great.
Enjoy
if you don't
it,
like a sport, fine. No one's forcing you to watch it. I love darts. A lot of folk don't think darts is a sport. Fine, don't watch it. Let me watch it and enjoy it. Likewise, I don't like, I'm trying to think of a sport that I wouldn't really sit down and watch. Basketball, I'm not a huge fan of. I've been to some games.
But you just watch the last 2 minutes and then you get it all.
That's usually what I did. But it's like, folk love it. I'm not going to go and shit in it just because it's like some folk don't.
We're going explicit. Look out.
That's not explicit.
Oh, that's your one free one?
Yeah. Oh, I was watching AEW, the wrestling, on Wednesday. And
sorry, we're done talking about Wednesday. You can't talk about this now.
The fans were chanting, asshole. Yeah. And it was getting like silenced out.
But they weren't able
to.
But
folk were hitting each other over the head with stuff and blood was coming out of folks' heads. So that was fine. No, but the crowd chanting that gets cut.
But the thing is, they don't cut it all of it because some of it gets on the air.
Yeah,
well, they cut half of it
they cut it then while folk were doing promos and you couldn't hear what the guy was saying. It was like, anyway. Moving on back to soccer. Pacific FC could be one of the teams that would maybe want to go for a model like this with some of the other sports teams on the island. I mean, who knows? But they did announce this week the re-signing of 6 players. Defender Caden Chung, midfielders Matthew Baldissimo, Alessandro Hojapur, Noah Verhoeven, Zach Verhoeven, and forward Tern Campbell.
Now, just to let you know, Noah's and Zach's names are pronounced differently.
Yeah, they're not brothers.
Yeah, I know.
And they're pronounced so differently, right?
Yeah. It's Verhoeven and Verhoeven.
Yeah.
I just say Verhoeven. It's easier. They're all now contracted through to 2020.
What do we say, Michael Mickle?
Pacific are going with the hashtag Trust the Kids.
That's been like their thing for a long time.
Yeah, I like that. But they're also trusting the oldies because Marcel de Jong was confirmed for 2020, which, again, I think everyone expected that, but that was just made official. And we also want to just say a fond farewell to Myra Lawrence that's left Pacific FC.
Oh, really? Who are you going to have to deal with now? Do you know?
Josh Rendell's the guy just now that's currently taking stuff up. But Myra was a pleasure to deal with. She answered all our questions, got everything that we needed from her in the last year. So sad to see her move on, but good luck to whatever she does next. Now, one Pacific player from this first season who isn't coming back, to Pacific at least, made history this week.
Yeah.
Former Whitecap and AFTN's 2017 Whitecaps Academy Player of the Year, Jose Hernandez became the first player to move between teams in the CPL when he signed for Cavalry FC.
On a free.
Yeah. Good addition by Cavalry. I still think Hernandez has got what it takes to break out. And I think he's going to have a better supporting cast now to help him.
Again, he's got to learn the other aspects of being a striker. That's the only thing that's holding him back.
I think Tommy will bring that out.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is, I think Tommy has the opportunity to maybe, because he's seen him play a bunch, has the opportunity to get the best out of him.
Yeah.
This will be like most players in the CPL. It'll be like 1 year and then they'll know kind of thing.
Now, Forge announced they've re-signed a core of 12 key players, including the likes of Borges and Henry and Becker, so that's no surprise. By contrast, to Halifax released 16 players.
No more Elton John in the league.
Oh, I can't think of an Elton John pun. I was desperately trying to rack my brains there, but
Rocket Man back to Trinidad and Tobago.
Don't let the sun go down on me.
Trust the kids. But that's a staggering amount of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tiny Dancer.
It's like they were just here for a minute, flickering like a candle in the wind.
Oh, there you go. Can we just break into singing Tiny Dancer?
I like it, Elton John songs.
Tiny Dancer.
Hold me close, you're a tiny dancer.
That's not how it sounds.
That may be a completely different song.
Seen the movie? Have you seen the movie Almost Famous?
Yeah, that's what I was going to
mention. On the bus?
On the bus.
Oh, yeah.
On the bus. That's the best.
Have you not seen it?
No.
You need to watch Almost Famous because you're a big fan of that kind of era.
No, that's like a 90s film or something.
The Cameron Crowe.
Cameron Crowe, it's like his life story, basically.
You
have to watch the director's cut.
Who's the girl that's in it?
Kate Hudson.
Yes, I have seen it.
But have you seen like the full version?
Yeah, the director's cut.
I don't know.
I'll get it to you next week. Yeah, I have it too.
It's so good.
Cool. Well, from talking about Almost Famous to players that are famous, at least for the Whitecaps in the 2010s, because we'll be back talking about our Whitecaps of the decade, the final part, after this.
Hi, I'm Marcel de Jong, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
That girl has got it in her hand. That girl has got it in her hand. That girl has got it in her hand. What's she gonna do now? Got it in both hands. That girl has got it in both hands. That girl has got it in both hands. What's she gonna do now?
What is she gonna do now? Find out on the New Royal Family's YouTube channel. Spoiler, not suitable for work. 60 times in Sue. That was our Artist of the Month for December, the New Royal Family, with That Girl Has Got It.
In her hands, right?
In her hands, yeah.
Somebody who lost something out of their hands was Zach during the commercial break when he dropped all his. You were in the other room, dropped all his Lego on the ground.
Oh,
big crash.
You let go of your Lego. Hashtag.
There was a hole in the bag.
Which Steve pointed out to you before we started the show. He's
no.
You've got a hole in your bag.
No, I was trying to put it in the other bag in it.
There's a hole in your bag,
dear Liza,
dear Zaki. Or dear Zaki.
You don't want a hole in your sack, for sure.
No. Been there.
What?
In the sack race at school. My feet went through, fell over. Chaos and
Michael fell over?
Anyway, welcome back to part 4 of tonight's AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. Now it's time for the final part of my favourite section that we've done in December.
Yeah.
Whitecaps of the Decade.
Still haven't got that intro music.
Nah.
Damn it. Maybe next decade.
So this week, are we going to actually put out the team? Or next week?
No, we got to do next week because we got to do the bench. We didn't do the bench.
Oh.
Okay. Do we have time on the
We'll
on the 4-hour Christmas show?
I think we might find
We'll
time.
finalize it on there.
Hey,
or we could do it as an extra because I also want to do our duds of the decade as well. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, that could be a whole show on its own. There's a lot to pick from in that category.
Captained by Mustafa Georgiou.
Well, he might get a few mentions in this because we're looking at the strikers of the decade and the attackers of the decade.
What do you get mentions as
He
someone
did get a
forward?
mention.
Yeah, a joke mention.
Yeah, but he's still got some mentions. It's been a continued good response to this. I'm really glad we started out. I was going to do it next year, but since things were so quiet, I thought may as well just bring it forward to this month, and I'm glad we did because we're moving on to the strikers and the wingers.
Thanks, Whitecaps.
So many, thanks so much for helping our show. So many forwards have worn the blue and white, and the brown and white, and the grey this last
Silver.
decade.
What about the charcoal?
Silver.
Well, what was it officially called?
Brown. Arbutus brown.
Arbutus brown,
yeah.
and Unity grey. Still working grey.
The most unifying kid ever.
Worst season ever to have a Unity kit. 2018. The steel workers thing, because it's silver.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, some of the forwards we've had in the decade have been memorable. Morbital pointed out that Martin Nash, midfielder, won the Golden Boot in 2010. Wasn't a great season 2010.
No, it was the audition year.
Yes. And he auditioned well and then didn't get a contract. But anyway, let's be honest. Most of the forwards that we've had in the MLS era for the Whitecaps, they've undelivered. They've not been what we've needed. Some have been absolutely forgettable. Although not here at AFTN. Je me souviens and all that. I missed that banner, the original one.
It was fun making
the only
it with you.
tifo I've ever painted.
Yeah, and you did so well.
I did.
I
kept within the lines.
I
didn't cross the line.
I got there late because I was coming from a board meeting, but so I didn't get to. I don't even know if I got to paint at all. But I got to do a lot of blow drying. Remember, we were blow drying it to make sure so we could leave it in Massimo's basement.
Because Zach is full of hot air. Whitecaps have told me that on several occasions. So in this section, we're going to pick up to 3 attackers because one of them will be on the bench if we're going 4-4-2 or if we're going 4-3-3. All 3 will play. Yes. So don't worry about positions, whether they're number 9s, whether they're wingers. Just pick 3 quality. And I've changed my mind on this a little bit while I was putting this little rundown together. So it was no surprise to see the 2 that got the most votes ran away with it were Camilo and Fonzie.
And they were
lo 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 lo.
That was original.
Lo lo lo
Song
lo
for
lo
Curva.
lo lo.
But
Lo 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 lo.
It was gonna really hit its stride in that fourth year. He was gonna be in 2014. But
we had plans because in his last year he was going into the season. He was on 39 goals, and it was the 40th anniversary year, and we were just like, we had something right. Yeah.
And then look what happened. Now those 2 players, they didn't get every vote, but they got over 90% of the votes cast. Were they no-brainers? Well, let's dig into them. First of all, Camilo. 3 seasons in MLS with the Caps from 2011 to 2013. The latter of his seasons here saw him win the Golden Boot, 22 goals. When 22 goals won the Golden Boot. Oh, how the league has improved. Overall, he made 92 appearances. He scored 39 goals, 16 assists. That was a goal every 2.36 games, or worked out a goal for every 170 minutes that he played. Now, the way he left maybe tarnished his reputation here, made folk feel a little bit different about him.
It was split. there's some people didn't like the way he left. Some people didn't like the way the team dealt with the way he left.
Yeah. I think it's okay for people who don't like the way he left and felt he should have handled it differently. Which has happened with other players as well. But you cannot. It's inexcusable the way that the Whitecaps organization dealt with him, and they are the ones who ultimately are to blame for his leaving.
We'll read some tweets of comments folk have said about these players, but our good friend Ruturo over on the island, over on the island, he said he just couldn't bring himself to vote for him. So
that's fair.
He didn't vote for him.
That's fine.
But he's a no-brainer. He has to be in.
I don't.
He's the best striker I think we've had in the 10 years.
I personally didn't like the way he left, and I don't think he should have left the way the rules were written. But he did leave, but he still had a fantastic 3 years. My first memory of the Whitecaps was because I missed the home opener in MLS. I was there for the second game when he made that big goal against Jimmy Nielsen?
Oh, Sporting KC.
Yeah, he lost his nut. And so that was I remember that one.
I remember being
the 3-3. That was the 3-3
draw. Comeback.
2011 pre-season down at Starfire when we had the tournament, and Camilo had recently joined
Cascadia Summit.
So I'm standing there behind the bench where they're all coming off, and I started a Camilo song that didn't catch on. I was going na 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 Camilo Sanvezo, Camilo Sanvezo, na na, and he just looked like I kind of smiled.
Was anyone else singing with you?
No.
The problem is, I think the last name, a lot of people couldn't grasp that problem.
But he was quality. I didn't like the way he left either. It could have been handled so much better. Would you welcome him back? His name pops up all the time of, he could come back, he could come back. Would you welcome him back?
I personally would, but he's not going to come back.
I would too.
My other concern would be his physical condition of his knees and his body and
I don't think he would ever come back. When Robbo was here, he may.
He would have.
Rob and him had kept a really good relationship, and he said they speak regularly and stuff. But yes, I mean he's definitely in our team. He was in the fans' choice as well. Fonzie is the next one we're going to look at.
Natürlich.
Now, 2.5 seasons in MLS. 66 appearances, 8 goals, 12 assists. That's only a goal every 8.25 games.
For a winger.
Or for every 475 minutes that he played. He got an assist every 5.5 games. Does he deserve to be in?
Yeah, for a 16, 17-year-old winger, yes.
I think it would be for the 16, 17 million that he brought in.
Oh, that too. That too. He deserves a spot for that as well. But
I think that, again, I know you want us to look at mostly on field, but this is the most significant player to maybe ever play in Vancouver.
And dynamic too. It was even when he didn't
score
goals,
the ball, the fans were like, you expected something to happen.
That game against Minnesota, man.
And for the most part, it wasn't
and forth on him.
For the most part, it wasn't like Maddox where he got the ball. It was like and then it was like that wasn't. There wasn't like two levels of that. It was like mostly like. Do
you know no one nominated Darren Mattocks for Attacker of the Decade?
He did have some moments. I still remember the TFC goal where he was he was on top of somebody's shoulders or something.
Well, I mean, he carried the team. Yeah. So, I mean, he's usually everyone else was on his shoulders. But
you're referencing the interview in Jamaica? Yeah.
He went off his own accord in the end. Jamaica.
Yeah.
Call back, because we're calling back to our 2013 jokes now. Now Fonzie, right away I thought no brainer, he's in the team. Then I started putting the stats together of all the other players, and I was like, I don't know that he actually deserves to be in the team, but I think I've come round again, and I think Camilo and Fonzie have to be two of these three players on the team. But if I'm going to drop one of the players to the bench, Fonzie would be my player that would have the bench role from the three strikers.
Or you put Alain Rochat at centre back and put him at left back.
Now, interestingly, both those players were sold on to bigger and better things, albeit in very different circumstances. And that, of course, is what the club has said they want, and it's what Axel Schuster has reiterated recently, and who knows, we might have this with players down the line. But both those players in our Whitecaps of the Decade, we all in agreement of that?
I put those two in there.
And the fans as well. Now, the other attacking spot available, this is where I've gone through all of these guys at some point. Because we had 5 main nominations. And a few fun ones, like Espindola and Jarju. Espindola, the best striker the Whitecaps kind of had. Never forget.
Oh, man.
Now, we had some good discussions, and we'll read some of the tweets from the 5 main nominations. So I'm going to go through the 5, then I'll read some tweets, and then we'll kind of talk about it. So the 5 nominees were Eric Hasley. Hasley spent 3 seasons in MLS with 3 different clubs. 1.5 of those seasons was with the Whitecaps. He made 44 MLS appearances and some Canadian Championship appearances. He scored 12 goals in MLS. He got 5 assists. He received 3 red cards in his first year, including that infamous double jersey celebration, which is still one of my highlights of the decade.
Yeah.
His MLS career started with a bang, and I say it went downhill pretty fast after that first season. He got a goal every 3.67 games for the Whitecaps, or every 230 minutes played. He had 10 and 26 in that first season on what has to be remembered was a poor team. He will always be remembered, of course, for that wonder goal in Seattle, and he had that cracker in the Voyagers Cup against TFC as well, I think the 90th minute. So that was his input. He left. Well, actually, whilst he was still here, Kenny Miller, I think, joined. Kenny Miller spent 1 full and 2 half seasons with the Whitecaps between 2012 and 2014. He scored 13 goals in 44 MLS appearances, got 3 assists, so 1 more goal than Hasley. He had a goal every 3.38 games to Hasley's 3.67, which was a goal every 233 minutes to Hasley's 230. So they're pretty even, those two, if you look at that. He had a vision on the pitch that I still argue was not matched by those around him, which kind of, I feel, impacted his performance as a goal scorer and as a provider. And I think with a better supporting cast, he could have been so much better here.
Yeah, he showed it on the training pitch too, where he was frustration on the training pitch was
and he's shown it before he came here. He's shown it since he came here as well with clubs, and he's still playing in Scotland and Partick Thistle, but when he went back to Rangers, he was still scoring goals after the Whitecaps. So he was the second nomination. Kai Kamara got quite a few votes as well. He spent 13 seasons in MLS in total up to now, but just 1 here in Vancouver. But what a season. Heart the guy.
Heart-shaped hands.
14 goals, his second best ever season in MLS, 6 assists, 28 appearances, worked out a goal every 2 games or for every 155 minutes that he played. Christian Teixeira, he spent 4 seasons in MLS with the Caps. 106 appearances, 24 goals, 16 assists, a goal every 4.4 matches or 286 minutes played. So not as good as Hasley and Miller in that regard.
But he was a winger.
He was a winger, and he had a bigger, expansive thing to pick from as well. He was inconsistent, but it's hard to argue with his output when he did perform, I feel.
Yeah.
The 2017 Freddie Montero also got votes.
Wait. How do you exclude?
I know this is the issue with Freddie, because everyone that voted for Freddie cited him in 2017, but for me you have to take 2019 into account as well.
Yeah.
But if you do that, he's got 22 goals and 68 appearances for the Caps, 9 assists. That's a goal every 3.09 games, 220 minutes for actual minutes played, which isn't too bad. But if you look at the 2 seasons, you think 2017 great, 2019 you just feel it wasn't a great season for him. So you're weighing that up. That 2017 season was his best performing season in the league. So those were the 5 nominees. So before we get to our thoughts on them, I'm just going to rattle through what the listeners had to say. If any of you guys want to read some of these as well, feel free. Sure. Jake Nemec said, Camilo, the best goal scorer the Whitecaps ever had. Kenny Miller, he says, because top positionally aware striker that the Caps have had. He loved watching him off the ball. And he's sure Davis will get a ton of votes, and he understands why, but he feels he didn't produce all that much as a striker in a Caps uniform.
Because he was a winger.
You do the next one, Steve.
Fully Roused said, I totally agree about your Kenny Miller take. It's too bad they didn't keep him longer. Well, that was more like the wife's issue.
Yeah.
Than the Whitecaps issue.
Lorenzo Benetti, a fine young man, he said, third must be Hasley. Scored 2 of the top 3 nicest goals of the decade. He's my brightest memory of the Caps' first few seasons in the league.
In 2011, there wasn't a lot of happy memories on the pitch. A lot of good ones off it, but that Hasley strike in Seattle, it's like goal of the decade. Might be the goal of the Whitecaps for decades to come. I'd love us to have a better goal than that, because that will be fantastic. Ubik Wintermute says, for me, the quality and passion he's brought to the crest at a time when the club was in dire straits for something positive makes Eric Hasley the best we have had. We could use someone with his attributes again. Maybe Curva can bring that passion. Maybe Cava can bring that passion back to the Caps.
Chris Corrigan says Eric Hasley had something that made him irresistible to watch. He'll be a club legend for decades, despite having an average season here. I don't remember him ever scoring a boring goal. Kamara was the closest to him.
El Canico, for pure production, Camilo, Teixeira, Davies. For best goals, Hasley and Waston. Yes, a defender has been one of the club's best attackers in the MLS era. That's both remarkable and sad.
Of course, he has played striker before. Stewie Benjamin says Camilo, Davis, Teixeira are his 3. I also really liked Fernandez during his brief spell. Mane, when he had his hot streaks, was also fun to watch.
C.D. Pryor said Hurtado simply because of how much time he spent on his hair.
Friend of the show, Ryan McLeod, said Shea scored against Tigres. Blas had a sick bicycle kick goal against Chicago, I believe. And Arde has had a sick tat. I rest my case.
I think some of those could feature in our duds of the decade. But, I mean, some good discussions there. And if you look at the 5 nominees, I think from when we initially went through them, we're going to probably rule Freddie out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did Shea score against Tigres? He missed against Tigres away. Did he score here?
He scored the first goal here and then got injured.
Oh, right. And Davies got the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if we're down to 4 for this final spot, we've got Hasley, Miller, Teixeira and Kamara. And I have gone back and forth on them. I won't say who I've gone for yet, because I'm curious. I don't want to sway you in any way at all. So what's your thoughts on it?
Here's something I just want to bring to people's attention, or to help you recollect. There was a lot of interesting dynamics happening in the 2011 season. So you had Tater, who got sacked, and Tommy Sohn took over the team. And then they hired Martin Rennie. Like, they announced him, was it August, Michael? Something like it was early. Like, it was like...
Yeah, they had to announce it August because the rumours were Montreal were after him for the head coach.
So here's what was going on. So if you remember, down the stretch that year, Eric Hasley, they didn't start him. So Camilo played ahead of him and scored a bunch of penalties that would have been Hasley's. So Camilo, there was at least 2 penalties he got that would have been Hasley's, and it was all about playing time and what they were doing. Camilo ended up with 12 goals. Eric ended up with 10. Had Eric been playing, it more likely would have been the other way. But what also was going on behind the scenes was, and multiple people have told me this, is the committee, the owners, the executives at the Whitecaps told Martin Rennie, Davide and Eric, they're gone. You bring in who you want to replace them, they're gone. So I think that's why he was not playing as much at the end of that year. So he kind of got a little bit of the short end of the stick, and then also he didn't like a lot of the Europeans. He didn't know MLS rules. Yeah. So at the end of the first year, he's like, I love being in Vancouver. I want to be here longer. He went to them and said, hey, I understand there's this thing where a no trade clause for DPs. He's like, I want that put into my contract. And they're like, no, because they already knew that. Yeah. They already knew they were going to get rid of him.
It is that other half, the first half of the next season, that for me just tarnishes him a bit. I mean, you think of the fun that he brought us in 2011, especially that goal, but some of the other stuff as well, and his larger-than-life personality. But he was just so poor.
But I think
in 2012, and I understand why. But
yeah, I think the results were not ideal. He was not Martin Rennie was not playing him because he was never in his plans.
Yeah,
And so I think that Eric, like a lot of footballers and footballers of various positions, you see this, his morale, his confidence was extremely low. And so, yeah, he only got like a couple goals that year or whatever.
Your thoughts on Hastley, Steve?
Well, if my third is striker. Did you pick Hastley then?
I mean, you should ask me to leave sentiment out of it.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to pick him.
Then pick him. Just let me know if you're picking him.
I would.
I'll tell you who my pick is now. Okay. I'm going with Teixeira.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, that's the one I would not pick.
I've gone through all four of them, and even Kamara I've gone through as possibilities, because Kamara had a fantastic season, but because it was one year, season, I feel I'm ruling him out.
Yeah, I was going to take Kenny Miller.
Oh,
so we're like three-way tie. But my second choice was Hastley. I didn't have Teixeira as one of my three.
Second choice was Miller.
And your first choice was Hastley, right?
My second choice would be Miller.
Okay, let's try and do some points then. So
first for
you've
Hastley.
given 3 points for a first. So you've got 3 for Hastley. I've got 1 for Hastley. That's 4, and you've got 2 for Hastley. So that's 6.
Yeah.
6.
I've got 3 for Teixeira.
Teixeira, take him out of it, because both of us have him in third place.
Okay, so that's 5.
No, I don't have him in. He's in 4th for me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. So Teixeira's definitely gone. Kamara's definitely gone.
Yeah.
So it's between Miller. I've got Miller as 3rd, so it'd be 1 point.
And I have him as 1st, so that's 3.
3, and you had him 2nd,
that's
so that's 6, which is the same as Hastley.
This is great podcasting here.
Fantastic.
Let's watch these numpties do math. Listen to these numpties do math.
What did the fans add?
Well, that was tight as well, because they
voted Teixeira.
Yeah, they had Kenny Miller edging out Hastley and Kamara. They had Teixeira 4th.
Okay.
And Kenny Miller edged it. So I guess if we're tied between Miller and Hastley,
we could go Hastley.
I don't want to.
Just because
just be different.
Yeah, just be different. But we could
He's going to flip a coin. What is this?
Coin.
What is this? The Gold Cup 2000?
So heads Hastley.
Yeah, because it's H.
Yeah.
And tails Miller.
Because he's an ass.
He tucked his tail between his legs and went back to Scotland.
Let me see.
It's tails. It's Kenny Miller.
Kenny Miller's
when I go back to Scotland in January, I'll head along to Glasgow and I'll present him. I'll say, "You're one of the Whitecaps of the decade."
Are you going to mention about him putting his tail between his legs?
No,
that's how
I won't mention that you call him an ass either.
Oh, that's cool. I won't see him ever.
I'll ask him how his wife is.
Laura.
Lovely lady.
Yeah.
I shared an elevator with her once. And she's like, "You're Scottish." I went, "I know." So are you. Anyway, that was a lot of fun. We're going to do a kind of write-up section, maybe get a few more votes as well, because obviously just throwing it out on Twitter is not a great sample size. So we'll get some replies to the article that goes up as well, and maybe put it on Facebook and stuff like that as well. So thank you for everyone that did take part. There's too many of you to thank, because we got a lot of votes in. And yeah, that was great fun. Who knows if we'll be doing this in 10 years' time, and we'll be looking at the Whitecaps of the 2020s. My Zimmer frame will be in the studio going, "I can't believe Cavallini spent 10 years here and scored 1,000 goals."
I don't think that's going to age well.
Maybe not. Anyway, we'll be back with the final part of tonight's show after this.
Hi, I'm Alfonso Davies, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
In the same building on the same floor and never met before until I'm overseas on tour and peep this Ethiopian queen from Philly taking classes abroad. She studying film and photo flash focus record. Says she working on a flick and cut my click through the score. She says she loved my show in Paris at Elysee Montmartre and that I stepped off the stage and took a piece of her heart. We knew from the start that things fall apart, intent to shatter. She like, that shit don't matter when I get home. Get at her through letter phone, whatever. Let's link, let's get together. Shit, you think not? Think the thought went home and forgot. Time passed, we back in Philly, now she up in my spot, telling me the things I'm telling of is making.
Welcome back to the final part of tonight's AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. Who was that, Steve?
That was The Roots with Erykah Badu, You Got Me.
Are they your artists of the month? You played them a lot.
I was just saying to him in the break whether you would notice if I was doing the same artist for this month.
I had.
He said to me, he's like, "You think he noticed that I'm doing my own artist of the month?"
That's good. You can do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You and me can have our artist of the month.
Okay, I want an artist of the month.
You'll like our artist of the month for January because they're German.
No.
Why don't you do Lego of the month?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You can show a Lego man to the microphone. It'll work. Most of what we do in the show doesn't work anyway, so you may as well show Lego men.
We could, maybe me and you can collaborate on artist of the month. We'll figure something out.
On my own.
Have month about then.
What? Have month about?
Mm-hmm.
He's saying alternate month.
Alternate back and forth.
What was so difficult to understand there?
I've never heard have month about as a...
Well, it's a new phrase.
Okay.
Anyway, something that does work in the show is Wavelength.
It works in Michael's mind.
It works in my mind for 3 years. And I've just discovered a new source of a whole load of new songs, so this is keeping going. It's not going anywhere.
You found another sack of CDs?
Yeah. Found some artists I didn't know had done football songs.
And there wasn't a hole in the sack. That's
No.
why we didn't see them before.
Imagine if Santa had a hole in his sack. How many disappointed children there would be. Tell you what doesn't disappoint children. Oranges at halftime. Which brings us nicely to this month or this week's Wavelength song, which is by Halftime Oranges. Yet again on the show, we've featured them several times before. This is a song called Zigzag to the Onion Bag. Halftime Oranges there with Zigzag to the Onion Bag. I love a good zigzag goal. For me, one of the best will always be Archie Gemmel's in the 1978 World Cup for Scotland against Holland, as featured in the iconic Trainspotting sex scene. Great goal. Great movie.
It's in a sex scene?
Yeah.
Oh.
What brings you to climax more than Archie Gemmell scoring in the 1978 World Cup? Let's talk about that for a few minutes. Maybe that could be a new section we do with the Whitecaps players next year.
A new section?
Section, even. But yeah, the onion bag, it's one of those phrases, I use that and postage stamp corner a lot when I'm writing match reports, and I don't really know if those are phrases that folk even know here or refer to.
No, those are...
Yeah,
known.
Like a nice bulging onion bag.
Yeah, the problem is there's that I can't remember which part of the UK or the British Isles he's from. What channel was he on? ESPN or something? He used to say it every
Derek
goal.
Ray?
No, older. He used to say it every goal on Champions League back in the day when it was on TV. He was annoying. Like he got annoying fast. So I always associate with that dude. And
onion bag.
Yeah. But there's a bulge in the old onion bag. I can't do his accent, but yeah, I associate with that, and I found him very annoying. So Like not Ray Hudson annoying, but still annoying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ray Hudson just stole his shtick from a darts commentator, Sid Waddell.
Yeah, and it's really lame, his shtick.
Yeah. Anyway, something that isn't lame is BC Soccerweb headlines. BC Soccerweb headlines at 1 a.m. in the morning is brought to you in partnership with the smooth, soul jazzy sounds of bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for local, national, and international news, stories, links, features, everything you could bulge an onion bag at. Yeah, make it part of your daily routine. bcsoccerweb.com.
So, quick story. Alan Koch, as you know, has been named new manager of the Switchbacks.
Coach.
And they are breaking ground on a new 8,000-seat downtown stadium.
And it looks nice from the plans I've seen.
Yeah, multi-use facility that can accommodate a variety of sporting and entertainment events. They're already going to be hosting the conference playoffs for the NCAA, men's and women's next year. So they're already getting, or whatever they're open. I can't remember when they open. So they're already getting stuff there. So it's good. It's good news for Alan Koch there that he's getting a new stadium.
It looks like big enough that Colorado Rapids could play there too.
Yeah. Well, it's 8,000 seats, so they probably
definitely.
They got all the people.
Yeah,
they don't have to worry
about
about that infestation of those.
The dick plague.
Yeah, dick plague.
That will be featuring in our end of year review. I bought the cream.
Next story here. FIFA is preparing to sue Sepp Blatter and Michel Platini to get their 1.5 million pounds back that they were basically suspended for. Initially 8 years, and then they got reduced to 6 or 4. I can't remember which one it was. The governance committee has passed a resolution last month that because the money has not been repaid, FIFA should initiate legal proceedings. Platini had claimed that the 2011 payment was part of an oral agreement as part of a contract that ended in 2002, while the ethics committee and subsequent appeal courts have found it to be an illegal gift, and which is why they were suspended.
I mean, I don't like an oral agreement. Just you don't have any leg to stand on with that.
No, but safer.
Yeah. It's a knee trembler sometimes.
Spanish match-fixing case falls apart as judge clears convict. As judge clears 41 players and officials of the charges, the match fixing relating to a relegation match between Levante and Real Zaragoza in the final round of the 2010-11 season. The claim was that Zaragoza had been accused of paying Levante players 965,000 euros to lose, so Zaragoza could avoid relegation. The judge who issued the verdict said that there was not enough evidence to convict the players on others on trial. The accused were all facing 2 years in prison and a 6-year ban from football. And so that hasn't... I don't know about the ban on football, because that could still happen.
They've been cleared of everything?
They've been they've been found not guilty, or they've been cleared of... They're not going to be convicted at this point because there was enough evidence.
It's one of those things, like, if this had gone ahead, this was like earth-shattering for football. It's like, it could have opened a whole can of worms, and it
There's
could be...
one current player. The rest of the list I saw, most of them were former players. One current player was Ander Herrera, who is on PSG right now.
Oh.
He was one of the players involved. So other than that, I'm not sure.
Is he former Man United?
Former Man United went to PSG last year. Real Madrid. Now this one has some legs apparently. Real Madrid football player Karim Benzema may finish criminal trial over blackmail allegations. In 2015 of June, Valbuena, what's his name?
Mathieu
Valbuena, who now plays for a Greek team, Olympiacos, filed a complaint claiming that he was a victim of attempted blackmail after receiving a call informing him of the existence of a sex tape in which he appeared. Now, investigators suspect the 31-year-old Benzema of acting as an intermediary between the presumed blackmailers, including one of his childhood friends and Valbuena. The court found that the investigative methods used in the case in which Benzema is alleged to have colluded in blackmail were within the law. He was claiming that his legal team claimed that the police were used dishonest methods by posing as a friend available and out to and a telephone conversation with one of the accused. So they're saying it's the whole thing about Man City saying, "Oh, this was illegally obtained." So
we did it, but it's illegally obtained.
But it should be seen. I've never seen a sex tape scandal before.
So someone calls you to blackmail you, saying that they have you on a sex tape. Mm-hmm. Like, do you not know I'm on such kind of tape or not? Like,
you don't know that I've got one.
But he was being blackmailed, so he filed a complaint that he was being
blackmailed. But that's what I'm saying is someone calls you, says that we have a sex tape of you, or not, like, that's not possible.
Well, someone could put a hidden camera in a hotel room, for example. I mean, I'm just speculating that that's something that someone could do.
Yeah, maybe the little guy was drunk, and he didn't realize the camera.
Hope it's not a little guy on it.
Okay,
but my sex tape's my train.
He never claimed that he was or wasn't on the sex tape. He was claimed that he was being blackmailed. He was being harassed, and that's
against the law. It's not illegal to make a sex tape.
No,
thankfully. Anyway, on that bombshell, that is it for tonight's show. Just before we go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat, and what I've learned today is that I might change my last name to change a couple letters in my last name in order to make my last name Panzer, with the addition of Lucas Cavallini.
Oh, that would be fantastic, Steve Panzer. Oh, you'll go down well with Axel.
Hashtag not a tank though.
Panzer was a tank.
No, the thing outside BC.
Oh yeah.
For me, you can find me on Twitter at ZacharyAm. The thing I learned from the show today was, now I forgot what I was going to say. I had something all not as good as Steve, but I had.
Sorry about that.
You've thrown me for a loop. It'll come back.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada, on Instagram at AFTN Soccer. Give us a like, subscribe, and all this stuff that the young kids tell you to do on YouTube at AFTN Canada. And I learned Zach doesn't check hotel rooms for hidden cameras when he checks them.
Well, I only go to hotel rooms I don't know. Conferences and with my family.
Yeah. Okay then.
What did I learn this week though?
I don't know.
Tweet it out later.
Do you want us to replay the show to you so you can listen to it and see what you learned?
Oh no, yes, I remember now. Okay. I learned that Michael McCall really appreciated Christian Tater's time as a Whitecap.
I did.
I didn't think you liked him.
I was frustrated by his inconsistency.
Right.
But I
admired. The talent was there.
Yeah, I admired his output. And that is it for tonight's show. We'll be back next Sunday, 9 p.m. Our 2019 Christmas special. There'll be fun. There'll be games. There'll be Christmas songs.
We can't get in at 8?
No.
For sure?
For sure.
Okay.
We'll be unwrapping presents.
Oh!
Who's going to have a bulging onion bag? Find out next Sunday. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the tank.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.